Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Oh, I'm bad. I'm nationwide.
He's business's bad boy.
You're bad, and I like it.
Yep, he's one bad apple.
That's right, we bad. That's right.
He's Jim Blasingame, the Small Business Advocate.
I'm bad, 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 bad. I'm nationwide.
Welcome back, 34 after the hour. Thank you very much for being part of my day. Always a pleasure to continue to be with you, especially when I get a chance to reintroduce you to our good friend Olalah Njenga. Olalah is the CEO and Senior Marketing Strategist at Yellowwood Group. She's the author of 37 What Were They Thinking? Moments in Marketing. She's an award-winning entrepreneur, having won at least one Stevie Award. She's the creator of the marketing system Marketing with Ease, but the thing that her mother's the most proud of her for is the fact that she's a member of the Small Business Advocate Brain Trust. Olalah Njenga, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's good to have you back, as always. Hey, Olalah, when I started doing my show back in '97, one of the things that I've talked about all through the years is branding, and I've worked so hard to try, along with people like you, to talk about the concept of branding, the idea of branding, the application of branding, the execution of branding, and to help small business owners realize that they have brands, just like
Absolutely.
Nike does, just like Coca-Cola does. They have brands, and every company, every business has a brand. The question is whether you're the one defining it or whether somebody else is defining it for you. What do you think?
Yeah, you laid it right out. What do you need me for? I mean, I just had this conversation. I was giving a presentation on branding yourself for the new workforce.
Yeah.
And the comment that I made was, whether you're a person or a business, your brand is either by default or by design.
Right.
And what I mean by default is that if you don't fill in your own blanks to describe the emotional connectivity and the personality of the brand, whether it's a business brand or a personal brand, then other people by default will fill in your blank. And why would you want someone else to fill in your blank? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I wrote an article a few months ago about this, and I used Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party as examples. And I'm not, but not from a political standpoint. It had nothing to do with politics. It had to do with the fact that the Tea Party. If you ask anybody what is the fundamental principle of the Tea Party, people can tell you what that is. There's no confusion about that.
Right.
But if you ask people about what is the singular fundamental issue of the Occupy Wall Street, no, they don't. You can't really say. Nobody really knows because there's so many different things, so many different groups, and again, my only point in bringing that up is because one of them crystallized and focused on their message and got that across. The other didn't have that, and businesses can't be like from a branding standpoint. A small business can't afford to be like Occupy Wall Street.
No, they can't. Or they'll compete against everything.
That's exactly right.
Compete against everything.
or be called, or their brand will be defined as something that it's not. I mean, how many people think of Occupy Wall Street as a negative when probably a lot of the people there are they think they're trying to do the right thing.
Definitely. And it can get really muddy really quickly.
Yeah.
And that's why branding must be intentional. It must be strategic. And it's something that small business owners have to think about as the business evolves. I think the biggest mistake that we make as small business owners is we start the company, and so almost by default, the brand of the company kind of takes on some of the persona of the owner. But then as the business grows and it flourishes and it starts to, stop wobbling and starts to really create a presence in its marketplace, the company has to then start defining its own brand attributes. How does it want to stand in its own industry, and put some space between the person or people who started it and what the company actually reflects. Right. And that's a very intentional process, and we don't always do that as small business owners, and so we end up with brand by default.
That's
like
exactly.
Over and over again, like the cycle
which includes our competitor defining our brand.
Absolutely, and you certainly don't want that. I mean,
that's exactly right. And so, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, if you can't explain to your parents what your company does, who your company serves, and what makes your company exceptional in its own way, if you can't explain it to your mom and you can't explain it to a kindergartner, you got other problems going on. I mean, hold
on to that thought. We're going to be right back with Olalah Njenga. We're going to talk some more about branding, including getting into eventually what is the difference between 21st century branding and classic branding. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And we are airplanes today. Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved.